Good afternoon, boys and girls. Today we are going to be working on another portion of our trifecta, and we're going to take a look at the conversion between percents and fractions to percents. So the key here is understanding what the word percent means. Per literally translates into for every, and cent is a Latin stem meaning 100. Think about century, it's 100 years. A centipede has 100 legs. 100 centimeters makes up a meter. It's because cent means 100. So to express a percent as a fraction, we're simply going to put the percent over 100. And then we will simplify as needed. So a 75% translates to 75 out of 100. Now we can divide the top and bottom by 25, and that simplifies to 3/4. 80% would be 80 out of 100. If we divide the top and bottom by 20, I'll go ahead and write that out, we get 4/5. So 80% as a simplified fraction would be 4/5. So let's go through a couple of examples. Now 50%, you don't have to do much math. If you have 50% of anything, if you got a 50% on a test, you know that's half. But let's show exactly why. It would be 50 out of 100. If I divide the top and bottom by 50, I do get 1/2. 30% is 30 out of 100, which simplifies to 3/10. 55% would be 55 over 100. If I divide the top and bottom by 5, I would get 11/20. Oh, we already did those two. I apologize for duplicating those. 76% would be 76 over 100. They're both divisible by 4, and that is 14. 14 out of 25. Oh, I apologize, no, 19. I apologize, 19/25. 19/25. Did that mental division wrong, I apologize. All right, so pretty simple, pretty straightforward as long as you understand the meaning of a percent, which means for every. So let's go ahead and take a look at fractions to percents. Now I'm only going to show you for today one method, which works sometimes, but it works really nicely when it does work. So since we know that percents are out of 100, we're going to want to create an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100, because that's the meaning of percentages. So to do this, we're going to need to turn our brains on. You've got to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same factor. So your denominator becomes 100, and this is where you have to turn your brain on, and you need to ask yourself, how can I turn 2 into 100? Well, I need to multiply by 50. That's 50 out of 100, which is 50%. If I'm dealing with 20ths, I can turn that into hundredths by multiplying by 5. So I'll multiply the top and bottom by 5, and I get 60, or excuse me, whoa, I apologize. I thought that was a 30. I looked too quickly. That's 15 hundredths, which is 15%. 7/10. If I multiply the top and bottom by 10, I get 70 hundredths, which is 70%. Now remember, the percent sign goes behind the percentage. So if we do a couple more examples, 19/20, multiply the top and bottom by 5, I get 95 hundredths, which is 95%. Now you may be asking yourself, do I have to write the percent symbol? The answer is yes. Otherwise, if you just write 95, that's 95 whole things. 95% means you don't even have one whole thing. You have most of it. So if you have 95% in your cell phone battery, you've got most of that battery, but you don't have all of it. If you got a 95% on a test, it means that you got most of the test right, but you didn't get the whole thing right. So those are two very different things. Multiply the top and bottom by 4, and I get 72 hundredths, which is 72%. And lastly, I can multiply 5 by 20, 60 hundredths, which is 60%.